Hi, and welcome to the Fear to Fortitude podcast. I'm your host, Coach Latavia Renae. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Carlos Adell of the Unstoppables. He is such a powerful force and has such a wonderful group of people that I have had the privilege to get to know. And you've met a lot of them on this podcast. And this is the man behind all of those people that you have met. So I'm going to give Carlos a moment to introduce himself and we'll get started. Carlos?
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. I was looking forward to come here. I thought you were gonna never invite me. And thanks for your kind introduction. What can I say? I'm a guy from Spain. I've been traveling the world and trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life because I didn't know. I was very lost many years ago. And then finally, I got my overnight success, which took me 10 years of personal research and development and fuck-ups and ups and downs. And it's a journey. And it's a journey that starts and never ends. And now I like to think that I help build unstoppables and create unstoppables all around the world and helping people believe in who they are, take action, and step into their power.
I love it. So tell me, how did Unstoppables get started? Where did that dream come from?
That's a great question. And one that not many people ask. So look, the Unstoppables comes from when I was a kid. I was 12. And my mom, and I remember this moment as if it was yesterday, and she let me watch a movie. And the movie was called The Godfather. The Godfather is a trilogy. It's like 3 movies that each one of them, it lasts for about 3 hours. So I watched this thing and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was a 12 years old kid. This thing impacted my entire life. After the Unstoppable, after The Godfather, I fell in love with these people that they could do anything. They would be like, over everything, like the law, the police, no one could stop them from doing and achieving whatever they wanted. And they had something called La Famiglia, which in Italian means the family. And they would do anything and everything to protect La Familia, or like the people who they would call family. And I fell in love with this concept, right? Like this protection and this, not about the bad thing that they were doing. Obviously, that wasn't right, but I started watching more of these movies, and then one of these movies, which is called the Untouchables, from Elliot Ness, and again, like the same concept, like these people would do anything, they would do everything, and I fell in love with the concept. And then many years later, having the influence of this, I can do anything and everything, right? I created the concept of the Unstoppables. And that was back in 2017 when I decided to build my own business, because during all these years of personal growth and self-development and overcoming challenges and traveling the world and doing crazy things, I realized that a lot of people started telling me, oh, I don't know how you can do that. I couldn't. I'm like, well, and people would say, oh, you're so lucky. And you're so brave. And I started thinking, hang on, like, no. You could do it. You could do it because you got 2 arms, you got 2 legs, you got 2 eyes, you got like everything I have, like nothing else, nothing more. So if you don't do it, it's because you don't want to. And actually, when people start talking to me and giving me excuse, I show them the example of a guy, which name is Nick Santomassano. And this guy was born with no legs and no arms. And he's a public speaker. He's done like more things than 99% of humans on Earth. So the thing is that we all are unstoppable if we decide that we want to be. So it's not that you can, it's that you don't want to, or you don't have a big enough reason. So after coming to this realization, I went into coaching and I started building my business, and I wanted to help people and build a community of people that would understand that they can be and do and live whatever life they want to live. And that's where the Unstoppables come from.
I love that. It explains a lot about the Unstoppables. So you said La Familia. So how does that show up in the Unstoppables that you've built?
Yeah, like, look, I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. My family is very important to me. I've still got my parents, they're still alive, and my sisters, my nephew, and to me the family is super important. I have my lifetime friends as well, but this is a life that I broke up with when I decided to build my business, because I understood that I needed to surround myself by the people that was going to help me level up my life, people who I could be inspired by and follow. And what happened is I started meeting people and working with people and getting clients, and my clients have become my family, because they are the people who I hang out the most time with, because we are on calls, because we are in the same groups in Facebook, and these and some other masterminds that I'm part of, they become my family. So one of the things that I tell people when they join the Unstoppables is how I want them to feel is like, we're family for you, because you become family to me. And at the end of the day, like, this is like one of the most powerful tools that everyone can use to reverse engineer their success. And it is, okay, what is the reality that I need to live in? What is the person that I need to become to achieve the goals that I want? And once you get clarity on that, then the only thing that's left for you to do is to become the person that will achieve these goals. How do you turn yourself into this person? Well, you surround yourself by people who are already like that. And they say that if you surround yourself by 5 people doing drugs, the next one doing drugs is going to be you. And that was me when I was a kid. I surrounded myself with bad people doing bad things, and very soon I became a really bad guy doing very bad things. And then I'm like, oh, hang on. So why don't I do this, the other thing, like the same thing, but the opposite, right? And when I started surrounding myself with people who were highly successful, who were having 6, 7, 8-figure businesses, then you started seeing a different reality. I'm like, okay, that's possible. So if that's possible for them that have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 2 arms and 2 legs, it's possible for me as well. And this is like, it's not my belief, it's a reality. Life is like that.
Yeah, I love that, especially when you talked about surrounding yourself with a certain type of people that are inspirational to you, and turning it around. Like, you did it before on the quote unquote the bad side, if you will, and all of these same principles can serve you on the other side. So I've noticed this a lot with people. I want to say this because you don't know this, but I want to say this, that the thing that drew me to the Unstoppables was I was following my intuition. I do believe it was that energy of the group being a family that drew me in. And I have found inside the group that I have indeed found a family. We're all a very close-knit bunch. We get together, we help each other if there's anything that we're struggling with. And it is very much like a family. And of course, I believe that's because that is the intention that you set for the group. The other thing is back to what you were saying before about, hey, whoever you're surrounding yourself with, that's what you're going to do. And that happened. And then you just said, let me just change the crowd. And you were actually able to change your whole life. And I'm benefiting from that. So it has a chain effect, a domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm getting to benefit from that. I'm curious, when we come, and I have done this, I have come to the group and I have been completely stuck. What goes through your mind when you see one of us and we're stuck? How do you figure out how to move us forward past our fear and what blocks us?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, look, everyone's different, right? So you need to understand who like, there's 2 components here. Like, I can do so much, but the first person who needs to come to your rescue is you. And when people start, some people go into the victim mentality, and it's very hard because it doesn't matter how many solutions you give to them, they always find another problem. And you can see by the language they use, and you'll hear me in the community talking a lot about, hey, change the words, change the words. When you're saying I'm stuck, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, guess what? You are. Of course you are. when you change the words and say, I'm a little bit pissed today. I'm a little bit like, you change the words and you change the meaning of your message that you're telling yourself. So what do we do? Like, well, we've got a bunch of coaches and people that support, apart from the community. That's beautiful to see how you guys support each other. And it's not only me, but other people. And one of the things that I did a long time ago was to work with Irene. And Irene, she is my personal mindset coach. She's been with me. She was one of my first clients when I started, actually. And she came out of nowhere, and she didn't understand what social media was. She didn't have a Facebook profile. Well, she did have one, but she had a picture of a dog. And she was totally lost. And we started working together, and that was like 3 years ago. And she's come a long way, and I've come a long way, and we become good friends. We become family.
Yeah.
She always says that I'm like her son.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't think I knew that she was like your first client. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When I fantastic.
Yeah. It was funny because it was one of my biggest success, which was, my overnight success was I went from $0 to $40,000 in 2 months, which to me was mind blowing. And one of the clients that I signed up in this period was her, and that was where everything started. So now she's a beautiful friend with it's family, it's real family, right? We don't have the same blood, but I was sharing that because she's really good at shifting people around. She's very good at looking at you and say, yeah, this is what's going on with you, and she gets it really quick, and she gets it right. So she's helping with that because I'm better with the strategy, and say, hey, Latavia, just go and do that.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I can't do it. I was like, oh, okay, don't worry. And then Irene looks into another side of you, so just to make sure that everyone gets through.
Yeah, I love how you pointed out kind of like the differences. Like, you've got the strategy, but Irene can look and find some of those other things that we use to block ourselves. I hope you don't mind me sharing this story with the audience really quickly. But Carlos and I were supposed to have a strategy session, but I had trauma and literally had very violent nightmares just before our meeting, and had a whole total emotional breakdown. And Carlos put me in contact with Irene. And so that's what I'm talking about it being a family, and something that I've truly benefited from having the group, and having it, not even just Carlos, but every member of his group. He's very careful about who's in it, in the sense of like our energies connect in a way that we know that we all can work in sync, and there's this synchronicity and camaraderie in the group. So you put me in contact with Irene, and I have to say that because of the two of you, I healed a trauma that a lot of people spend hours sitting on someone's couch paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in just a 40-minute call. It was completely settled and completely solid. Like, that's how awesome the group is. So I'm curious, you talked about kind of, moving from when you were 12 years old, seeing this vision of the Unstoppables. Where do you see the group going from here? You've accomplished so much. Actually, I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned something that I don't want to gloss over. You mentioned your overnight success going from 0 to 40,000. Let me start there. What did that feel like? What was going through your head when you first kind of realized, I've actually done this? I changed my life, and this is where I am now. How did that feel?
Yeah, like again, that memory is like they stuck in my head, because I remember it was like a very strong emotion, and I remember the moment that I said, like, hey, look, I need to do things differently. I'm gonna quit this job. I'm not happy at corporate, and I need to focus. And unless I focus, I'm never gonna get ahead. And I had no clients, I had nothing, and I quit. And I called my parents and said, hey guys, look, this is what's going on. I'm not happy. This is not working for me. I'm gonna quit, and I'm gonna move to. Is that okay if I move to your house? Right? Because at this stage, I had to leave my apartment, I had to leave everything. I had no savings, had no nothing. And say, hey, look, we have two houses. My family has two houses. So I moved into one of the houses that they were not living at the moment. So I could have my space for work, to my old room. And I moved there and I worked my ass off because I was so inspired, and I would just work and put in the time, and then I would see like in 2 months I would cash $40,000, which was more than what I was making in an entire year in corporate. And I remember this night, it was 2:35 a.m. and I was walking down the street because I couldn't sleep, and I was trying to understand like what was going on. And I was so excited. I could not believe it. Like I had built a business out of thin air, not out of thin air, but out of my knowledge and things that I knew how to do, but not out of someone doing something for me, someone giving me a job, someone making me a favor. I decided out of thin air because there was an idea. It was out of, hey, I need to create this. And when I decided that, I'm like, I need to put this idea into the world. And you need to turn your ideas into reality. And guess what? The easiest thing that you can do that people are scared of is I told my friends and my family, hey, I'm going to build a business. Oh, how is it going to be? Like, I don't know, but I'm going to build a business. And say, oh, great. So the moment that you start manifesting that dream, it's already a reality. And that was the idea, right? What Wayne Dyer calls the power of intention. You create an intention, you put it out there in the universe, and then you take action. And it was an amazing, amazing feeling. And it's a feeling that anyone can live, but some people don't do it because they get stuck at the intention phase and they never take action.
I noticed that you just gave a perfect example of something that you said earlier, and it was like, you want to change the world, change your words. And I see that you did that. You changed your words, and then, like you said, you put that intention out into the universe, and then you made it a reality. And a lot of us stop short of doing that. We're like you said, we're even scared to say it. We're even scared to put it out there because then we know that, hey, now we gotta be responsible and back it up.
But because most people don't believe.
Yeah.
They want big things and they think they will, but that needs to come from your heart. Yeah. Because if you say it with your head, but you don't feel it with your heart, it's never going to happen. Yeah. Because why would you say something that you don't really believe it's going to be true?
That makes sense.
It doesn't make any sense to take action on something that deep down you don't believe it's going to happen. That's the point.
That's true.
So, and look, I'm not saying I'm not different than anyone else, but you always will have this little part of yourself, which in my case I call the little shitty Carlos, which is gonna tell, no, don't do it. You failed. You're gonna go back to corporate. But you have two choices. You can say, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway, or you can say, oh, okay, tell me more. And then you let the little shitty you talk you out of anything that you want to do in life, because there's always going to be a risk. There's always going to be a fear. So you step through your fear, or you put your head down for the rest of your life. It's your choice.
Yeah, I love how you put that, because I've done that in the past so many times. Like, yeah, tell me more. Tell that voice to shut up. You don't have to listen to every thought that comes up, but so many of us get caught on, a little thought that's negative, and then we feed it. And I don't know if you've ever seen the oldest American movie, I guess. It's called The Gremlins. And like, if you feed it after midnight, or if you water it, it multiplies. It's one gremlin to 1,000 gremlins. And that's what I think about when we think about those bad thoughts from the little shitty version of us.
Totally. That's the first movie I watched in the cinema, actually.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not old.
We're the same age, so don't call it old.
I'm saying, no, but it's right. Like, there's always two sides and two parts of you. Yeah. The one or the other, it's always gonna win. Which one will win is the one that you're gonna fit, the one that you're gonna listen to and give attention to. And if you put yourself in an expansion mode and you believe what you can do and you look up and you just go forward, then this is going to work. But if you contract and you just scared and you step through life like tiptoeing, scared of what could happen, well, you know what is going to happen in your life? You're going to die. And and once you die, it's gone. So now, what are you going to do in the time in between? You're going to be scared of living because no one's going to get out of that alive. Or you're going to take, advantage of the time that has been given to you and just go and fucking smash it out of the park. And whatever you get, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how high, as long as you try and you do whatever you can to live your life, like your dream life. It doesn't matter. That's living life. It's not about achieving goals, it's going towards it.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that because like you said, you get this finite amount of time in this stage of life, in this realm. It has a set ending. And so what are you going to do between now and then? And it may as well be the best thing, the most wonderful, amazing thing that you can think of. Why aim any lower than your highest dreams? So I've heard people say, instead of going to sleep, I want to wake up to the life of my dreams. And so that's what I kind of have in mind. I want to wake up to the life of my dreams. I don't want to have to daydream about something to get away from a toxic or a negative reality. I have the ability to dream up something absolutely wonderful and then put the actions and the words behind that and bringing it into a reality. What has been, in your experience, the thing that arises most as the most difficult obstacle between a person and their highest dream for themselves?
Mindset. Their mindset.
Yeah.
And I had this realization a couple of days ago, and I was talking to this guy. He's a guy from Australia, someone who I never met before. I don't know him. We just had a phone call because someone introduced me to him. Mm-hmm. And as I'm talking to this guy, and he's explained to me that he's built like more than 30 multi-million-dollar businesses. And he is like the smallest one, like $3 million a year business. The biggest one, like few hundreds of millions a year. And he's from Sydney. He's from Australia. Sydney is home to me. I lived there for 5 years, which is where I went when I decided I needed to understand what I wanted to do with my life. And then this thing came to me, and it is like people will put a lot of effort into building their empire, right? Yes. But they forget that the first thing that they need to build is their mindset. And it took me, like my overnight success, it took me 10 years to mindset building, because until you realize what you're capable of, until you believe what you're capable of, until you decide that this is for you, and that you see this guy building 30 multi-million-dollar businesses, and I want to do that as well. And then I reach out to this guy the following day. I say, hey, I was very inspired about what you've done. And I thank you for your offer of guidance that you gave to me. Like, I don't think I could be your client now, but I'm going to reach out. And I did that because I know that this is my first step to learn more about something that I'd like to myself, and for me to expand my mindset and my paradigm. So, and some people start looking for the strategy, how can I build $1 million business? Well, start by understanding who do you need to become, spend time with this guy who's done it already, and see what it is that he does and how he does it, how he lives, because you're going to grow your mindset. So it's mindset what stops people. And a lot of people, they spend time and money finding a strategy without even bothering growing their persona, their being.
Yeah, very good point. And here's the thing that a lot of us do, just like you said, getting that strategy. It's like getting this tractor, if you will, but you don't even know how to use it. It doesn't matter how big, how beautiful, how shiny it is, if you don't know how to use it. Someone can give me a rocket ship today and I could do nothing with it because I have no idea how to use it. So I feel like what you're saying is, get the software first. Like the mindset is the software before the hardware, because you can have the hardware and you'll be able to do nothing with it if you don't have the proper mindset, if you don't have a healthy view of yourself. If you're a person who thinks I can never make it, I can never do it, then you're right. You're right. Yeah. So it happens on the inside before you see it on the outside. So what we're seeing is the result of that inner work. Mhm.
Yeah, always, always. But because we don't see the inner work, we only see the tip of the iceberg, and
Yeah.
we see the flashy cars, we see the cash in the bank, we see the results that people share. Like we forget to look in more like deep down. And this
Mhm.
is one of the reasons most people fail building businesses online. And I'm saying the online because the online after COVID it's become very popular because it's been the obvious route to build a sustainable business.
Yes.
And we all see the shiny objects, we all see the results, we all buy because we want the freedom, we want the income, we want, all these things that come with money. And then we go one step, just one step below, which is the strategy that these people have used, the ones that have been successful, and we buy the strategy. We
Mhm.
spend money with the strategy, but we forget to look further down and understand what drives everything, what kind of person is going to implement the strategy successfully. And this is one of the reasons most people fail. And because we buy into things for the wrong reasons, or we buy into strategy without even checking if that's something that is going to fulfill us long term.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That reminds me, the more I'm listening to you talk about this, the more I'm becoming aware of why I had the intuitive hit. Carlos and I connected on LinkedIn, and I came into the Unstoppables for the strategy. I wasn't
Yeah.
even aware of any of the other things. I came for the hardware. I came for the strategy, that end result. But in joining the Unstoppables, I've gotten all of this inner growth, and this it's such a full spectrum of things that we're able to glean from the group. And a lot of what I've gotten is that inside internal work and that mindset work that I wasn't even thinking about when I came for the strategy. So you
Yeah.
get so much of what you need on every level to be able to have the success that you desire. So I'm noticing how intentional that was in your group. When I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh, okay, this is all starting to come together and make sense. This is why I was drawn to the group and why I've had so many amazing experiences. And we've talked about this before. A lot of them haven't been necessarily ones that you'll see on the inside yet. It's something that's happening on the inside, or see on the
Yeah.
outside yet. It's something that's happening on the inside. And I'm even more excited about what the results are becoming.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bonkers. It's gonna be amazing. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm curious as to where you see yourself moving the Unstoppables into the future. So that was the question that came up earlier, and I wanted to back up a little bit. But now I'm really interested in what you're cooking up in your imagination next for the Unstoppables.
Yeah, good question. Like, look, the Unstoppables just needs to keep growing, and my purpose or my mission is to keep growing this business, because it allows me to give back the way I wanted. I always wanted to give back, and it allows the Unstoppables to do the same. So that a big part of the Unstoppables today is what we do for the social communities and the ways we give back. We've got several families sponsored in India. We're supporting like entrepreneurs all around the world, like in some of the most in areas in most in need. And so to me, that's what's inspiring me. So my mission is to keep growing that and keep building this community and keep making an impact. Like, you want to leave the world in a better place than where it was when you got here. Or I think that's what everyone's mission should be. We come to the world and we suck, right? We suck energy, we suck resources from everything because look, human life needs to grow. It needs energy and needs resources to grow. But we have the potential to give back. We have the potential to create more than what we consume. And I think that's what we should do. And if we all did that, the world today wouldn't be in the situation where it is, which is like, coming to to extinction. So hopefully more people realize that, and we start, adding more than what we take. And this is my little way to contribute to the world and trying to make a better place. And it's my sole purpose to grow this business, and I'm gonna die doing that.
I love that. That reminds me of something that my father used to tell us all the time. And it I don't know if he necessarily meant it to be a life lesson. I think he just wanted me to clean the room, but he would tell me to always leave it better than I found it. To never,
Yeah,
go and mess up a space and then, people know you were there because it's messier. No, leave it better than you found it. And people
yeah,
know that you were there because of the benefit of you being there. And I've
yeah,
taken that into my life. And that's what I hear coming from you. But when you talk about the future growth of the Unstoppables, you
yeah.
mentioned to us and us before about wanting the Unstoppables to be a legacy that even outlives you, which I think is so incredibly important for us to build something that we put into the earth that continues to bless the earth even after we have left this realm. I'm curious where that came from out of you. Is that something that that's always been there, or was there something that kind of sparked that forward thinking in you?
Yeah, like the thing is that we have so much time in life, right? And I keep saying that a lot because to me it's an important thing. It's a realization I had when I was 21, after spending 5 days in a coma, 10 days in a hospital, like, battling between life and death. And I'm like, wow, that was unexpected, and I could have been gone like that, right? Like, so quick. So you realize that you never know when it's going to be game over, and you need to make sure that whatever you do today, it's gonna, you go to bed in living like a positive impact in your day. Because if every single day it adds up to your impact, then you're fine, right? But if one day is negative, then you need to add up on the following one. So anyway, but the thing is that you keep doing that, you can do that all your life, but as long as it relies on you, as long as it depends on you, you're building something with an expiry date.
Mhm.
And you're building something that is going to last for as long as you live. And I'm more ambitious than that, and I just want to build something that it will stay, and it will outlive me, because that way it's something that it could be eternal. It's something that it could last for as long as, as it's designed to live.
Mhm.
And it was a realization that I had after going through COVID. And it's funny because COVID is a pretty interesting thing. And I've seen people that they went through COVID and they became like dickheads after that, and people that had like some sort of awakening. And in my case, it was some sort of awakening. Like, okay, what am I doing with my life, right?
Mhm.
Like this thing kills people, and you never know who's gonna die and who's gonna live, because it's very random. So when you go through that, it's a very psychological process that you're going through. It's like, well, I'm here now. These people have, like, this guy died yesterday. I could die as well. He was healthy as I am. He was younger than I am. So he died. I could die. So you keep thinking, like, like, what if, what if, what if? And I was thinking, what if that was the end? Which it would be okay. I'm not scared to die because I died many times already. But I'm like, okay, what would happen with my legacy? What would happen with all the impact and all the things that I would like to do in the world? If I'm gone, then who's going to keep going with that? No one would. And it became more important than ever that, you don't want to be a solopreneur. You want to build a business. You want to build a company. You want to build something that is going to continue your work when you're not here anymore. And that's where it came from. Probably not everything. The idea, the seed was already there, but having this slap in my face, like, okay, got it. I got it now.
Yeah, I love that. And I have to admit that I didn't consider that, what I've built is very solopreneur. When I'm out, that's it, except for the seeds I've planted into other people. So it will live on in that sense. But
Yeah,
as far as what I've built so far as a solopreneur, when I take my last breath, that's the end of that. So
yeah.
in transitioning from the thought process of being a solopreneur to building something that outlasts you, what would you say would be the first step that I could take in order to build something that outlasts me?
Well, the first step that you need to start to looking into when you're building a business, it is that it's scalable.
Mhm.
And because if you can't scale it, it's always going to rely on you. And if you're a coach, or if you're a consultant and you're trading time for money, you need to look into different avenues. That would be the first thing. Building something that you can, a way that you can add more value while reducing the time that you work on the business. And then as you move forward, you want to start looking at how can you remove yourself from the process without keep adding more value all the time. And at some point, you should be able to ask the question and say, how can I sell this business completely? So you want to build a business that can be sold, right? Like if Tony Robbins were to sell his business today, it would be like a multi-million-dollar business. And he would even need to be there because he's built such a big money-making machine and life-changing machine, actually, because he's in the show, but he still runs the shows and everything, but he's not the one running the whole thing. So there's a lot of things going on. The day that he's not there, there's gonna be something that is gonna do what he does. And of course, it's not going to be the same, but his legacy is going to be there. So you want to look at your business like that. Another, like Tony Robbins is only one, right? But there's many ways to do this. And you need to think, how can I build that thing to the point that I can completely remove myself?
Awesome. I have to be honest, when you ask that question, like, how do I build this in order to completely remove myself? And I get this little tinge of fear, like right in there. I'm not even sure what scares me about that, but I'm gonna have to explore that. That's interesting to me. To build a brand that carries your name, but then to think about how to kind of remove yourself from that is not something that I had considered before. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, that really that first step is learning how to scale your business and while at the same time backing out of it. Not in just completely taking your hands off of it, but making sure it's not dependent solely upon you being the one running the entire show. So very good distinction between building a solopreneur business and building an empire that can outlast you. That's pretty awesome. I just had not really considered that.
To make it more practical, or give a practical example, if there's any coach or consultant listening to that, it would be as easy as you're going to be coaching people on one-on-one. So it's your time, they pay for your time. Then you're going to build a group coaching setting where you use your time, but it multiplies for all the people that you have in a group coaching session. Let's say you have 20 people. So then you coach them 1 hour a week and everyone gets 1 hour of your time, but you get paid 20 times. And then moving forward, you could add people supporting you and teaching the same things that you teach because you've trained them. And then these people are adding all this value, the people are getting it, but you're not even involved in the coaching in the process. And ultimately, you could teach people on your strategy, systems, and the things that you stand for, and all your clients would be getting this value, but you wouldn't have to be there. So, and if it's a little bit scary, then that's good, because then what it means is that you're looking at your situation now, you're looking at your situation in the future, and there is a gap, and this gap you don't see what it is. So that's what feels scary, because there's a void, and voids are scary because we don't know what it is in there. So instead of looking at the void, like keep your vision into the future, but keep your attention into your next step, which is, okay, I know this is down there. What is the next step? Okay, next step is to remove myself, is to create a group coaching setting, is to find someone who can help me. And that's not scary because the next step is just one step.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And you identified what most of us do. It's that gap. It's the fear of the unknown that we latch on to. So what I hear you saying is keep the vision in sight, but in the present moment, don't worry about the gap. Keep the vision in sight and just focus on that next step. So now you've got the power of what can happen in the future combined with the power of now. And that's pretty, that's rock solid right there.
Get excited about the big dream, but get to work into the present moment.
And I love you brought up the word excited. I think that's something that a lot of us, we lose in the middle somewhere. When we first get the vision, we're really excited about the vision. But when we start putting in the work and doing the next step and the next step, sometimes I think we kind of get caught up in the monotonous things of the day, and we lose that excitement and we lose that enthusiasm. And then we get up and we don't really feel inspired. So on those days when we get up and we don't really feel inspired anymore, what would you say would be the best thing we can do for ourselves on those type days to kind of get that spark back going?
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is stop pushing yourself to feel the excitement that you don't feel, because you cannot get inspired or out of putting in more work. You need to find inspiration comes from within, not from doing things in the outside. So if you're not inspired, it's because what you're doing, it's not lighting you up. It's not lighting your fire, because it might not be aligned with your purpose. It might not be a big enough reason for you. Maybe your motivation is only money, and money will get you so far. But if there's not something bigger than yourself, if not something that say, you know what, whatever happens, I'll make this happen. And if that means quitting everything or going broke and then rebuilding my business or finding 7 jobs, and I'll do anything. And then you're gonna get excited because you know that you're on a mission. So if you don't feel the inspiration, if you don't feel the excitement, don't try to force it. You need to find it within yourself. And this is when it comes to learning about what are your values, what are your principles, what do you stand for in life, and what is this vision? What is your mission? Because that's gonna light you up. And it could be changing the world. It could be providing for your family. It could be creating generational wealth. It's something different for everyone. There is no right or wrong. It is whatever excites you and lights you up.
Yeah, I remember one of the first things that you said to me was to make sure that you know your why. And that if the why isn't inspiring you, it's because the why is not big enough. And I heard someone else say it this way, that your why has to be greater than your will because your will can be broken. And I have found that to be true on those days where, my will is broken, my why does carry me. So that first step is, to have that very powerful why in place, because if you've got that why and it's big enough, just like you said, you don't need this gleeful joy or excitement to do it. Come hell or high water, you're just going to make it happen because the why is big enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that you have a huge why. Carlos is always looking at us in the Unstoppables, and if he sees something that we need, he makes it happen. Every single time. He's always looking to grow, always expanding. And if it's something we're struggling with, he finds the resource or he's able to lead us. And if it's something that he knows someone else has that skill, he'll bring them in for us. So we have been blessed by the why that you have. That's, again, I keep saying that intuitive hit that I knew I needed to be in the group. That was what I sensed, that you really care about the people that you serve. And I have experienced that firsthand. So I just wanted to take a moment to just say thank you for that. Thank you for who you are and what you have brought to the Unstoppables that you have built.
Likewise, they say that your vibe will attract your pride. So
yeah,
there you are. There you are.
Very much so.
Thank you.
So any closing remarks? We got just under 15 minutes left. So is there anything that you have felt that has been left unsaid or a stone that we have not overturned?
No, I love the time we spent together. Look at them. I love the time we spent together. And no, look, guys, there's nothing that you cannot achieve if you have a big enough reason and if you decide that it is going to be for you as well. Unstoppables are everyone, as long as you decide that you're going to be one. So it's your choice. It's your choice.
Yeah. I don't know why, but this just popped up and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. When I joined the Unstoppables and I made my first just introduction post, like, this is who I am and this is what I believe about the group and what we can do together. I posted something one day, just a random question, and someone else in the group just wrote out to me and said, hey, if you want to jump on a call and let's talk about this, we can do that. And I'm like, oh my God, just another member of the group. That's not something I had experienced in other groups that I have been in. There's always someone in the group. It really is a family. There's always someone in the group. If you post something, someone reaches out and says, hey, let's work together on this. Let's figure it out. So
I love that.
Yeah. So Carlos, this has been absolutely amazing. Again, you know, I brag about the Unstoppables all the time because of it has been a life-changing experience for me. And it's, you know, anyone who knows me knows I'm not blowing smoke. You can see the change that has taken place in me.
Yeah.
A whole confidence boost. My confidence level is way up. My self-image is way up, and the things that I know that I can do are, you know, went from like a level 4 to a level 10. So, you know, hey, it's just the proof is in the pudding. If you don't believe me, just watch is all I can say.
That's great. Thanks, Latavia. Yeah, it's been amazing having you there and seeing you grow as well.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to thank all of our guests for tuning in to this episode of the Fear to Fortitude podcast. You have been under the wisdom of Carlos Adell. Carlos, where can people find you?
LinkedIn, basically LinkedIn, because yeah, it's better. Like I can share with you the link to my profile and also my business page, and yeah, the LinkedIn is a good place to
All
start.
right. So when I post this, I'll put all the contact links with this. So if anyone is looking to become a part of the Unstoppables or to connect with Carlos, you'll be able to do that. Carlos, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Latavia. Thank you.